Hello there and welcome along to this week's In Detail. I'm Andy Sexton. This time around we're going to be taking a look at some sport and in particular just how difficult it is for juniors, for youths to make it through to the professional rankings. Well, sport can be split into one of two ways. You can either look at it from a team angle, we're going to be doing that in part one with Rugby League, or from an individual angle. And in part two I'm going to be going over to the Sunderland Aquatic Centre to visit some of their summers. But we start on the Rugby League pitches of the North East. Now, the Newcastle Thunder are the only professional Rugby League team from our region, and with new money ploughed into the club, it's tougher than ever for youngsters to break into the first team at least, or sign a professional contract. But earlier on this week, I went along to the North East Storm to chat to some of the youngsters trying to make it big in the game, and some of the coaches trying to help them make that happen. The North East Thunder, many young lads attending training each and every week. Many young lads all aiming to develop a career in the sport. After all, the Kevin Sinfields and Sam Tompkins of this world all had to start somewhere. But it is a hugely competitive industry sport. Hundreds of youngsters have passed through these pitches, but only a handful have gone on to represent the Newcastle Thunder or higher. So what separates the ones who earn their careers and the many who end up disappointed? Hard training, dedication, discipline, and of course talent are all factors. But to know definitively why it's so competitive and why it's so difficult to make the Thunder's level or higher, I had to sit down with a man who's seen it all. He's turned away more talented youngsters than many have had hot dinners. He's spotted the next generation of talent several times over after a stellar league career himself. I caught up with the Rugby Football League's North East performance coach Lee Crooks to find out more.
Our job is, our role is to try and identify players from the community game that we feel have got the potential to go on and become better players and hopefully gravitate into the professional game. Last year we had 4 players that signed for Newcastle Thunder from the academy, which was fantastic. You know, I think that the game has developed and the programme has developed players very well. The first part of call, and you tend to get this through talking to players, is attitude. You know, players have to have the right attitude. Sometimes you think they have, and then when they get into the type of intensive performance programme we have, that attitude isn't there. But generally attitude is one, and if you ask all the Super League coaches what they'd look for, number one it would be attitude and application. You know, in saying that, you know, if you've got that, the next drop down is very much about, you know, game awareness, your skill level. You know, psychologically there's a big thing going around at the moment in regards to mental skills, and that's something that we've probably lacked this year. Certainly in the older age group. The under-16s, the mentality and their application is very, very good, and I'm certainly looking forward to coaching some of them next year. The amount of pressure that is put on players now is quite intense, and not everybody wants to be in that environment. You might be the best player in the area, but if you can't cope with the pressures that are around being a professional rugby league player, and that goes for any profession really, but I think, you know, having to sacrifice your time, having to sacrifice other things, you know, not being able to go out with your mates. So there's a lot of things that can stop somebody aspiring to be a professional rugby league player. And I think that again it's about your determination, how much you want to do it, and if you're prepared to offset your mates who will constantly turn around and say to you, sometimes because they're a little bit jealous, come on, let's go out and have a drink, no, don't go to training today, and that you've got to push that to one side and just be very, very much focused on what you're doing. If a player is at a club and he signs a contract at 16 and he's at that club for maybe 4 years, he becomes, you know, he gets to 20, he's not really cut it, then the club then will then either sit down and have a talk to him, just give him his options. There's championship rugby, you can gravitate to that. If he's lost a little confidence, it's about gravitating down to your community club that you come from. Sometimes it really affects players. You know, they've had their dreams sort of torn away from them a little bit. and there are outlets through the RFL, networks of people to be able to talk to direct players that they can access, you know, not counselling, but somebody to talk to say how do I get back on my feet after the disappointment of being, you know, being a professional player for 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden it all goes pear-shaped.
So Lee, of course, has many years' experience in this sport. But what about this season? Who's going to make it big from the crop? Who is going to inevitably be disappointed? Well, I caught up with one lad in particular who's tipped to make it big.
Obviously, I want to make it into a Super League club. Obviously, like make it big, maybe even place or perform in the England sort of programme. Obviously, like making it an academy or scholarship in rugby league would obviously be really good as well. Like being picked up by a club would mean quite a lot. Obviously, come from the northeast. Yeah, I mean it's hard. Yeah, you've got to have a lot of determination. You've got to make sacrifices and everything. I mean, you can't go out with your friends all the time. You've got to make sure that you're training and going to the gym, and obviously making a step up to Super League is obviously going to take a lot more determination, a lot more sacrifice. Obviously, it takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of like work, and obviously you have to want to do it. It can't be like a part-time thing. It can't be maybe they'll do something. It has to be, yeah, I will do it. I will go and I will work hard. I mean, it's just like watching it on TV, obviously going to watch games and stuff, think this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be, and like obviously like you look at the men who are in like Super League and you think I want to be as good as them, I want to play professionally, I want to be able to have someone look up to me and say I want to be like him.
They do, like, especially with the kids you get, they're all talented or they wouldn't have been picked up on the programme, but to push that little bit level, it's the guys that are a bit more committed and want to push themselves a bit harder. We see a lot, we've lost a lot of lads at 16 because they've started going out, the GCSEs start, they prioritise stuff like that, and they've got to have a little bit inside of them that just wants to say, yeah, I want to be a rugby player and I'm willing to put in the little bits, like the nutrition. Like a lot of kids don't like eating very healthily, things like that, but a lot of them have just, the ones that have done better have just kind of bit the bullet and tried new stuff in it, and just done the little things to make themselves better. We must do 40 odd weeks of the year with the academy, twice a week, plus games, and that is a big ask for a 15, 16-year-old kid. It's basically as much as what Newcastle Thunder will be training, give or take a few hours. So they've got to put a lot of hard work in, a lot of time, before they even get a chance to get noticed. It is hard, but you've got to be realistic with them. I'm quite lucky at this minute because we have got quite a few kids that, if they did the right things, have got the potential to make it at a decent level. You know, it might be, we talk about professional, there's Championship 1, the Championship, all the way up to Super League, so the lads do have a chance to still make it, because they're a good crop of lads we've got at the minute, and the minimum they should be looking at is Championship 1, a lot of them. So we don't have to say that they're not going to make it, because there is that chance, you know. And myself, I didn't play professional rugby till I was 21-year-old, so I was a late developer. So there's those chances, and now we have my own club, Gateshead, on the NCL. There's a place for these kids to go to develop a bit more if they're a late developer, and then maybe get picked up by Thunder, from Newcastle Thunder, that way, you know. So although there will be a lot of lads that finish the academy, especially the 19s, things like that aren't going to make it, they're not going to get signed even by Thunder, they can come back into the system at a good level and develop and then have another crack at it.
So that's how difficult it is to make it in a team sport. But how about an individual sport, and one that I know all too well in